The Mannequin Cave is the most recent and significant subject of urban legend around our high school. It supposedly juts out as a deep tunnel of dark rock from the side of the gray-green hillside, miles away from the edge of town. You have to drive along a dirt track to even get close, and then there's like 2 or 3 whole fields you need to walk through as well. A pair of hikers discovered the place and posted a bunch of pictures on social media. The flash effect made all the images look fake or photoshopped, but one of our classmates tells us that he's been there himself. He swears by it that the cave is real, that the photos are legitimate. And so, we've done what any group of teenagers would do, given these circumstances. Something stupid. The 3 of us had parked up. Well, Delaney has. She's the one who drove. And we're walking now as a trio through the wild grass fields, the long blades blowing against our lower legs in the cool breeze. I glance up to the grim sky as a lone drop of rain lands on my forehead. It shouldn't be too far now. Hopefully we'll make it before the weather breaks. I hoist my backpack further up onto my shoulders. We're sleeping over, of course, staying the night. Our parents all think that we're at each other's houses. Lexi has the booze, I have the weed. But with every step we take closer to the cave, our anxiety grows. It's unspoken, but I can feel it radiating between us like an energy. No one wants to be the first one to speak. What had begun as an amazing and exciting idea in the bright light of the day now seems scary and short-sighted. I want to suggest turning back, about just abandoning this little excursion of ours. I really do. But I'm too late. Before I can come up with the appropriate words, Lexi speaks. "Guys," she says, "look over there. That's it. That's the cave." She points across the fields to a cluster of low hills. The edge of one such great mound is marked by a tumbled stone, and my stomach lurches uncomfortably. The rain starts to patter all around us, and so we pick up the pace. We make our way around the edge of the hill, and the clustered, mossy stone is confirmed to comprise the sides of the tunnel. This is it. The entrance to the Mannequin Cave. We pause at its edge and stand in silence, listening. A low rumble, like the opening note of a slow, sad song, and so soft as to be almost imperceptible, dances at the edge of our eardrums. "Are we sure about this, guys?" is what I want to ask, but instead I just say, "Wow." A pause, and then, "Are we ready for this?" Delaney turns to me and grins. "You know it, girl." Lexi manages a weak smile but says nothing. "Shall we head in then?" I ask, drawing my flashlight from the side of my backpack. "Don't know why you're asking us," mutters Lexi. "This was your idea after all, Allie." I laugh awkwardly, but she does not laugh back. She's been acting real weird lately. Even before this little excursion of ours was planned, I wasn't sure she was even going to come. I kind of wish she hadn't, to be honest, as I doubt just Delaney and I would have dared to spend the night in such a place as a duo. I click the flashlight on as the rain starts to pour, and the quiet thunder rolls softly in the far distance as I step foot into the cave. Delaney and Lexi follow on behind. Our footsteps echo around the wide, stony walls as we push deeper into the hillside. The sounds of the rain pick up before peaking, and then gradually fade into the background, with the accompanying rumble as we leave the entrance far behind us. The beam of Delaney's flashlight catches on something. A sentence. scrawled hastily in the white across the gray-black stone wall of the tunnel. "Don't turn out the light," the message warns, and an accompanying chill shivers abruptly through my body. "Creepy," Delaney murmurs, forcing out a little laugh. Lexi and I join in, but there is no humor in it. This is crazy, I think to myself. We clearly don't want to be here. I'm sure they wouldn't make fun of me. Just say it. Say, let's go back. But go where? All our parents think we're staying over at someone else's house. I'm working over the logistics in my head when we round a corner, and the figures of the cave's namesake finally become clear. They are more frightening by far than they were in the pictures, observed with curious amusement around a classroom table in the warm light of a school day. My breath catches in my throat and I stop at once. We all do. As our flashlight beams cast dozens upon dozens of long and distorted shadows out into the cave. The lights catch on a myriad of terrible figures. Mannequins, frozen grotesquely in place. Once presumably a pale cream or white, but now stained in green, in gray, and in brown from the grim damp of the cave. They stand at various intervals all around, differing in height and size, but all featureless, formless, but for a pair of painted-on eyes. Some of the mannequins are looking at each other through the dark. One has its hands clasped together before it, or at least, as much as the joints in its fingers will allow. One sits huddled by the cave wall, staring at the ground, and one stares right ahead, back at me. I shudder in discomfort at the disturbing scene, but Lexi, to my surprise, pushes on. She strides right past the mannequins and deeper into the cave, shouting loud as she does so. "Hello, friends." Is she trying to prove something? To us or to herself, perhaps? Regardless, her words, loud as they are, make me cringe in the relative quiet of the cave. Thunder rumbles softly in the far distance. "Lexi," I hiss, "you don't need to be so loud." She turns back to me, her eyes shining in the reflection of the flashlight, glittering bright in that beautiful shade of green of hers. "Why? They're not real, Allie. They're just dummies." She raises a hand and knocks on the head of the mannequin beside her. I don't fail to notice, however, that she hesitates before doing so. The sound reverberates ominously around the cave. "Lexi," Delaney says softly, "come on." We've been friends for years and years, but Lexi does have a habit of acting strangely sometimes. She just rolls her eyes and strides off deeper into the cave. Delaney and I exchange a look and then follow on behind, weaving our way through the silent but watchful crowd. Her phone lights up with the occasional flash as she takes photos of our surroundings. We pass the figures by, mannequin after mannequin. I hate them. I can't help but make the occasional eye contact with the terrible figures, wincing each time I do so. I feel like they're staring right into me, through me perhaps. My breathing is loud and shallow. They watch silently as we make our way between them, and we eventually catch up to Lexi, who has to come to a stop by a jagged outcrop of cave wall. "This is the place from the pictures," she mutters, and sure enough, a series of initials have been carved into the rock. There are about 10 or so pairs. The lowermost of these pairs is RM. "Ryan March," Delaney says, "the boy from our class." So, he has been here after all, I say with surprise. I can't believe it. He didn't spend the night though, did he? "No, I don't think so. He would have said otherwise," said Lexi. I can't wait to tell everyone about this to make sure you're all recording. We can edit the footage when we get home. We set up our sleeping arrangements and began sipping on the spirits. My nerves even started to settle a little bit. There's one particularly terrifying moment where I mistake a mannequin just behind me for Delaney, but we laugh about it and move on. I physically pick up the mannequin with a grunt and move it slightly further away, orienting it so it faces away from our sleeping area. I start to think that maybe this could be fun after all. We make a little fire and start chatting around it, sharing the weed. But disagreements as to the safety of lighting a fire in a cave, even one as wide and as vast as this one, mean we eventually put it out, replacing it with a far less exciting portable lamp. I'm kinda relieved, to tell the truth. The jumping, flickering flames of the fire gave unsettling life to the surrounding mannequins, grown all the larger and more silently fearsome in the illusory dancing shadows. Occasionally, my eyes fall upon a mannequin that I had not noticed before, as if it had crept closer in the darkness, watching from a distance, frozen suddenly in its pose. Most are standing up, but I don't fail to notice that one or two lie prone on the floor sleeping, one might think, if not for the wide and staring painted eyes. I look away and back to the lamp, losing my night vision in the process. Delaney and Lexi are arguing. A disagreement has arisen about whether or not to explore deeper into the cave. What's the point in spending the night if we're not even going to explore? She asks, an edge in her voice. This is far enough, Delaney retorts. We've made it to the initials. We don't need to go any deeper. There could be anything down there. She raises her hand and shines her flashlight further down into the tunnel. Unless it's my imagination, the poses of the mannequins become more contorted the deeper they go. More unnatural, bent into awkward shapes, heads screwed on backwards. The cave rumbles as Delaney brings the beam back over towards Lexi. Everyone at school is going to ask why we didn't go deeper, and what are we going to tell them? What are you trying to prove exactly, Lexi? Delaney asks. She seemed to have picked up on the same vibe that I had noticed earlier. Excuse me? Lexi replies, sitting straight up as she does so. Lexi, it's okay to be a little scared, you know. This place is scary, I say to her, but she bristles in response. What is it with you guys? I didn't say I was scared. I would appreciate you not putting words in my mouth, Allie. Delaney's getting pissed off. Lexi, chill. Just take it easy. She doesn't take this well. Why did you guys even invite me here anyway? She asked defensively. What, to make up the numbers? It's the alcohol talking, I know it. But if I mention that, it'll just make her more angry. That's not true, Lexi. Come on. You know it isn't true. Isn't it? She retorts, taking another sip. Delaney stands up. Do you really hold us in such low regard? We're your friends, Lexi. Why do you always do this? Always do this? Lexi replies angrily, over the low and shuddering rumble of the cave. Screw you guys. Screw this. And without another word, she kicks over the lamp. It rattles as it hits the ground and we are plunged temporarily into total darkness. Come on, Lexi, Delaney shouts. I call after her, but the girl does not respond. We hear her footsteps disappearing off into the darkness, and then see the beam of her flashlight appear behind the silhouettes of the mannequins. Delaney finds the lamp and she gives it a little shake. It returns, thankfully, into life as Lexi strides deliberately away. Lexi, we call after her, and I make to follow, but Delaney grabs my arm. Let her cool down. She'll come back when she's ready. You know how she gets. I sit back down uneasily. I don't know, Dee. I really feel like we shouldn't be leaving her alone. Delaney scoffs. She's the one leaving us alone. She's as freaked out as we are. She'll be back. I reluctantly agree. But the night drags on and Lexi does not return. 30 minutes or so pass as we drink and smoke, and then a full hour. Finally, I can stand it no longer. Alright, D, I'm freaked, okay? We've let this go on for far too long. I'm not going to be able to sleep until we're all together. So come on, let's go find her. Yeah, Delaney agrees, though she sounds a little embarrassed. Maybe she's feeling guilty about suggesting we allow her to go off by herself. Yeah, we shouldn't have let her leave like that. She has stuff going on at home, doesn't she? Crap. I shouldn't have been so confrontational. She rubs a hand over her eyes. Let's go get her. We rise to a stand, picking up the lamp, and our eyes refocus on our surroundings for the first time since Lexi disappeared. The mannequins have moved. Every single one of them. Each and every one of their heads is twisted to stare down into the darkness, deeper into the tunnel, in the direction that Lexi had run off. I slam my hands to my mouth, drunkenly and foolishly dropping the lamp in the process. It takes another hit as it smacks into the ground, and this time it shatters. We are once again plunged into total, suffocating darkness. Panic starts to set in. I scrabble around my belt for my flashlight, but it's not there. I can't find it. Delaney, my flashlight. I can't find it. I don't know where it went. It's okay, Ellie, it's okay. Delaney tries to reassure me, but I can hear a violent tremble in her voice. I've got mine. She clicks it on and swings the beam all around us, revealing that the heads of the mannequins have changed once again. They stare at us now, every pair of painted eyes, every single one. I stifle a scream, blood cold and fast in my veins. I grab onto Delaney's arm, and then release her as I spy my flashlight on the ground, dropping quickly down to pick it up, fumbling for the switch. God, oh God, Delaney mutters, sweat starting to bud down the side of her face. D, I hiss. What do we do? We exchange a glance. Lexi is likely still lost in the depths of the cave. Do we go after her, or do we get the heck out of here? Something moves in the darkness. We spin on the spot, beams whirling wildly across the army of silent figures, and a void-like shadow low and creeping, and never in my direct line of sight, slithers around the edges of my vision, and indeed the cave. It flows impossibly like water from the far unknown depths of the tunnel, and it is large. Difficult to say how large exactly, but bigger than either Delaney or I, by a considerable margin. And it's snaking this way, over the dark grooves in the rock, behind and between the shadows of the mannequins. It is coming. There are no words exchanged between Delaney and I, but we run. We tear back through the cave, back towards the entrance as fast as we can. We round the corner, slamming into mannequins and knocking them chaotically to the ground as we do so. But the entrance is nowhere in sight. At first, I think it is only difficult to see because of the darkened midnight sky, but there is no sky visible at all. The cave just keeps curling around, round and around in a wide arc, and the mannequins do not come to an end. There is only more, all staring. Where's the entrance? I scream in panic. Delaney, where the heck's the entrance? I don't know, she replies through tears, flashlight beams darting from side to side and casting up enormous and distorted shadows against the walls. I look back. The inky blackness from the back of the cave is closer now, much closer, and as if in response to my glance, it billows like smoke up the side of the cave wall. It reflects the scene below like an oil spillage, making it almost impossible to focus on. But there is something brutally single-minded and animalistic about its movements. Not looking where I'm going, I stumble over a groove in the ground and I tumble to the floor. The beam of my flashlight goes wide. "No!" I scream. "Please!" as my flashlight clatters across the rock. I reach out for it, grabbing it and swinging it back up towards the entity. And the light reveals it, close and almost upon me. And yet, the thing has come to a stop, angry but halted, swirling and swarming and hissing malevolently, the sound echoing up and all around as it billows before me. But between it and I is a mannequin. It wasn't there before. I could have sworn it, otherwise I would have crashed right into it, surely. But there it stands, facing away from me, staring up towards the entity with arms outstretched. It glows bright in the beam of my light, and I scream again as I feel a hand on my shoulder. It's Delaney. "Come on, Ellie," she shouts. "We gotta go." She hauls me up and away we sprint, the lights of our flashlights revealing the featureless faces of the mannequins. Featureless, except of course for those eyes. Those painted eyes, some watching us run right past, some staring back into the tunnel, in the direction of the beast. Some of the mannequins stand defiant, fists raised or arms outstretched, but we pass them all by, darting from side to side. Some point down the tunnel, around the arcing corners ahead. The hissing of the beast grows louder and louder, like a swarm of furious alien insects. "Lexi," I sob, and then louder, I shout. "Lexi, Lexi, where are you?" There is no response but the roar of the shadow that follows behind. Up ahead, it would seem, the tunnel splits off into two. Impossible, surely, since there was no such split on the way down, but we are well beyond the realms of the possible now. A lone mannequin stands at the end of the procession. Its arm is raised, fingers bent at the joints, and it points to the right. The flashlight beams of both Delaney and I fall upon the last mannequin. It lights up white in the glow, and we exchange a frantic look. The beast draws closer, and we make the choice. We follow the tunnel to the right. I stare into the eyes of the mannequin as we pass it by, and the mannequin stares sadly back. My lungs are on fire, my legs burn with the effort, and I'm struggling to keep going, let alone in a straight line. But I risk one final glance back as we leave the figures behind. I watch the beast come to an abrupt stop, as if struck by a sudden gale, and it bursts and spreads up and out towards the wall, screaming hungrily, a dark and billowing stain beyond the illuminated white glow of the lone mannequin. I stumble and then grab onto Delaney's hand, and we run. Round the corner we race, and the entrance at last becomes visible. We haven't been back to the cave, and Lexi has not returned. The guilt I harbor for leaving her behind, it'll likely stay with me for the rest of my life. But what were we supposed to do? What would you have done? We told the police our story, as unbelievable as it was. They were freaked though, to be sure. Based on how inconsolable we were, I presume. They'd been to check the place out. They found these scratchings of the initials on the wall, and the alcohol and the equipment that we left behind. But no mannequins, no monster, no sign of Lexi. The tunnel goes much deeper than anyone had anticipated, and they've called off the search for now as we await the arrival of a team of dedicated mountain and caving experts. But I still see them in my dreams. The mannequins. I wonder about their purpose, about where they came from. That last one especially. And all I can see when I try to get to sleep at night is that mannequin's eyes, staring sadly back into mine. Bright they were. A beautiful bright and glittering green.